Dias. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. Our weekly worship is where we connect, share information, and inspiration. My name is Carol Bertsch, and I am your president this year. Thank you. Let us begin by acknowledging that the land we are using was unjustly taken from the original inhabitants, the Coahuiltecan people. At that time, it was called Yanaguana. Tribes of their descendants are still struggling for federal recognition, which would give them the right to involvement in decisions regarding the use of their traditional lands. At our church, we strive to enact a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice for all and for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all. If you are new to us or visiting for the first time today, we welcome you to fill out a visitor's card. We'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we hope you will find your place with us. To that end, each Sunday we greet one another so that we might know who is journeying with us. Please take this moment to turn to one another and greet each other.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Xolani Kacela. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit for our invocation. Is it printed in the text? Is it printed on the screen?
No.
Okay. Well, I have an invocation, but it's in call and response, but I see you don't have the words, so I'm just going to read the whole thing. To all who are yearning for community, come in, be among us. To all who are just getting started, to all who long to go deeper, to all with tender places needing care, come in and be among us. While you are up and about, I invite you to turn to hymn number 1037 in the teal hymnal for our opening hymn, We Begin Again in Love. For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause. For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others. For the selfishness that set us apart and alone. For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit. For losing sight of our unity. For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness. You may be seated.
Please join me in our responsive reading. We come from many places along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories, different realities, and yet we come together as one people with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may find others who are much like us and others who are much different. Thank you.
It's time for our chalice lighting. We light this chalice to remind us that we are a people taught by different stories, with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love creates justice, and justice gives birth to peace.
We are called as Unitarian Universalists to build the beloved community where all are welcome as blessings. Let's recite our covenant that articulates our promises and binds us together. Please read together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. Su sacramento es la búsqueda de la verdad, y su oración es el servicio. Convivir en paz, buscar sabiduría en la verdad, dar a la humanidad nuestro servicio fraternal, para que todas las almas crezcan en armonía con la divinidad. Así pactamos el uno con el otro.
At this time, you're invited to come forward and light a candle that brings to light to our lives the light that is in your world and beyond. From the Book of Life, we have a few entries. The first one reads, "In gratitude for all the educators returning to school and their students, may their classrooms that's a biggie. May their classrooms be filled with an abundance of patience, active listening, and compassion." That active listening is very important. My grandfather passed away last month, and my grandmother is having difficulty coping without him, as they were married for over 60 years. Please send loving energy to her and the rest of my family as we navigate life without him. And happy birthday today to Carlos Gonzalez. And here's one with 2 exclamation points. It says, "Yay! Reverend XK is here." And for more grief, my father, Walter Bobo, passed away peacefully on August 11th, 2024. He was a proud UU. Tess Bobo. Best wishes and good luck to all of our students and teachers as they begin a new academic year. And many thanks to Felice Barrow for volunteering to organize our UU the Vote nonpartisan postcard efforts. For all our joys, sorrows, and concerns, may we feel empathy and compassion. May the caring of our community offer a space of deep kindness, loving, and just action. Amen.
Good morning. So historically, at this time of year, sometimes we have done something called a blessing of the backpacks. We ask people to bring in their backpacks or other school supplies, like laptops, to receive the blessing of the church community for the new school year. Well, this morning, we are going to bless the most important school supply of all, and one that I hope everyone remember to bring with them today, their brain. Okay. But before we have the brain blessing, I want to say what blessing means to me, because blessing can mean different things to different Unitarian Universalists. To me, a blessing means taking some time to mindfully lift up something of value, to appreciate that thing and celebrate that thing, and maybe make a commitment to taking good care of that thing. So when we have a pet blessing, we use that time to intentionally honor our pets, show them we love them, and renew our commitment to take good care of them. So this morning we're going to bless our brains. And this isn't just for the students or the teachers, this is for anyone who has a brain and would like to put it to good use. Now, if you're like me, you sometimes wish you had a different brain or a better brain. I wish my brain were faster. I wish that it could remember names better. I wish it could think of the right thing to say more often. But then I remind myself that my brain does wonderful things for me every day. For example, my brain gave me the idea, or had the idea, of doing a blessing of brains. So every brain is worthy and valuable. And speaking of worthy and valuable, I only met Reverend Kacela today. But I am betting that he has a fantastic brain, because they don't let you be a UU minister unless you have a really great brain. So we're going to hear now a couple of words from the brain of Reverend XK.
Sherry's right. All brains are not created equal. I remember reading a story about Bill Gates. And when Bill Gates was in the 10th grade, he had the highest SAT of every student in the state of Washington. That included juniors and seniors. That's how smart Bill Gates was when he was in high school. So I am not Bill Gates. I grew up in Georgia. I did not have the highest SAT score of all students in Georgia. I barely got a decent score on the SAT. But I've improved. I want to say to the young people, I'm going to be the new minister here, and I ask this question: does any young person know what a minister does? Any hands, any volunteers? Someone's pointing. No takers? Any takers? Okay. Outstanding. That's a big brain answer. I'm gonna go a little, over here? In the green shirt, come on. Go for it. Well, I want to say ministers do a lot of things. In addition to that, we give prayers, we do weddings, we preach, we do funerals, we do baby dedications, and we often do give blessings. So I'm here to help Sherry with the blessings, and I'm glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me to be here, along with my lovely wife, Tamara.
I'm going to cross over. I now invite everyone to take a few moments of silent meditation to think about all the things that your brain does for you. Now have the blessing of the brains. We'll do this like we do the candle lighting. Please come down the side aisles and return up the center aisle to receive your blessing if you would like one. And for those at home, you could enter into the chat some things that you are grateful to your brain for.
May your mind be blessed with wisdom and understanding. May your mind be blessed with wisdom and understanding.
So yes, every brain is worthwhile. The fast brains and the slow brains, and the introverted brains and the extroverted brains, and the typical brains and the divergent brains. May we all strive to put our brains to the best use possible. Blessed be. And now we invite any children who are of age to go to the playground who would like to exit to the playground. Thank you.
Well, you've already met Reverend XK, but it is my pleasure, and I'm so grateful to be able to give you a brief introduction of him. I wanted to make sure I'm in the right place. I am. Okay. Reverend Xolani Kacela has served the Unitarian Universalist movement since 2006. He was awarded full fellowship in 2012. He was ordained by the United Methodist Church in 2001, and he comes to us after serving as interim senior minister for the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Jose, California. Prior to San Jose, he served congregations in New Mexico, North Carolina, and Texas. He serves as state chaplain at the New Mexico Air National Guard, where he'll soon be concluding service. He has served the UUA on national committees, including the Commission on Appraisal and the Nominating Committee. He also taught pastoral ministry at Meadville Lombard Theological School, one of the UU seminaries. Prior to his UU service, he was ordained as United Methodist Church minister in Dallas, Texas. Xolani earned his Ph.D. in pastoral theology and pastoral counseling, along with his Master of Divinity from Bright Divinity School at TCU. He holds an MBA from Boston University and a BBA from Morehouse College. He is the author of several books, including The Black UU Survival Guide, Jumpstart Your Allyship, and Stop Anxiety in Its Tracks. He's been married for 11 years to Tamara, who is an avid gardener and seamstress. Together, they are big on traveling, fishing, and hunting. They also love hanging out in great restaurants and dive bars. Just keeping it real. Okay. But before you hear him speak, we have a little more to talk about. We know that XK is here as an interim minister. But what does an interim minister do, and how is it different from a settled minister? Having an interim minister is different from calling a minister to be our settled minister. Reverend XK's job is to guide us in our transition from Reverend Mark and Reverend Nell to the new called minister. Reverend XK will help us build a bridge from what was 4 years of Reverend Mark to what will be seeking our new settled minister. He will give us breathing room to accept and absorb the reality of significant change in our church. Moreover, the interim period is a time to transform church systems that are languishing or dysfunctional, and Reverend XK will help us do that. An interim minister asks questions like, why do we do that this way? He'll explore the cultural geography of our church. We may have to listen to some things we don't want to hear to help us become a leading voice for liberal religion. Reverend XK will help us decide how we ourselves will do the work of the church in the world. He will help us decide what direction to take for the future. There may be experiments with things we are used to. There may come changes to the worship service. Reverend XK will help us be prepared to succeed with our next settled minister. We can help this process by being open to change and by welcoming the difficult questions he asks us. And now a reading from Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. We have, as human beings, a storytelling problem. We're a bit too quick to come up with explanations for things we don't really have an explanation for. We are uncomfortable with things that are left unexplained. We need to tell ourselves little stories about the world so it makes sense. But what would happen if we stopped telling ourselves stories? What if, instead of accepting the explanations our unconscious serves up, we stopped and said, wait a minute, let me consider the facts more carefully. A classic example of this is a study that was done in the 1980s by a psychologist named Timothy Wilson and his colleagues. They asked a group of people to pick out the best poster from a selection of 5. Half the participants were asked to simply choose the poster they liked best, while the other half were asked to explain why they liked the one they chose. What Wilson found was that the group who had to justify their choice made different and worse decisions than the group who didn't. The people who had to explain themselves were more likely to choose the poster that was amusing or cute, but not the one they would have liked best in the long run.
Today's Share the Plate offering is for the benefit of Interfaith Welcome Coalition. For 10 years, the IWC has sought to bring some comfort and safety to the lives of migrants engaged in their enormous journey, wherever it may lead. From providing food and clothing, access to emergency health care, critical information and advice, or a bus ticket home for a family member, or family emergency, to the nearly impossible task of facilitating a simple phone call to a father and husband in detention for a family, moments before boarding a bus to an uncertain future. The IWC has worked in collaboration with dozens of churches, NGOs, and departments of local government to identify and address the needs of our at-risk visitors. Undesignated donations and checks made out to the IWC, along with any contributions made at our giving portal online, will be gratefully received by this worthy organization.
Pajarito colibrí, no tengas miedo de salir. Hoy el mundo quiere que despiertes para ser feliz. Pajarito colibrí, no tengas miedo de vivir. Que la noche oscura misteriosa baila para ti. Cuando sientes que el infinito el mundo se abren tus alas dentro de tu pecho, pierdes el aliento, pídele al cielo, te haga volar. Y si sientes vértigo en el vuelo, que siente el fuego dentro de tu pecho, mide el universo en su ser entero, dulce libertad. tengas miedo de vivir, todo va a estar bien. Pajarito colibrí, tú llegaste al mundo para ser feliz. Hoy los valles, bosques y montañas quieren verte ir. Hoy senderos, mares y las nubes velarán por ti. Si amores anden sollozando sin poder dormir, solo canta, quiebra la garganta, es hora de partir. Cuando sientas que lentito el mundo se abrirán tus alas dentro de tu pecho, pierdes el aliento, pídele al cielo, te haga volar. Y si sientes vértigo en vuelo, que siente el fuego dentro de tu pecho, pide el universo en tu ser entero, dulce libertad. Todo va a estar bien, pajarito colibrí, ya no tengas miedo de vivir. Todo va a estar bien, pajarito colibrí, tú llegaste al mundo para ser feliz. Bien, pajarito colibrí, ya no tengas miedo de vivir. Todo va a estar bien, pajarito colibrí, tú llegaste al mundo para ser feliz.
Thank you, Esperanza. We bless these gifts and the generosity of the givers. Let it be so. Well, I am glad to be here in San Antonio again. I was here a couple years ago, right during the pandemic, or I think it was right after the pandemic in 2022. Spent some time with Mark and Carol, and we had a great time, Tamara and I, and we preached here. And didn't think I'd be coming back as the interim minister, but here I am, and thank you for welcoming me and inviting me. Thanks to our board chair, President Carol Bertsch, for being my worship associate this morning. Well, I had a dream a few weeks ago that I had been nominated to be a U.S. Senator. I don't know where that dream came from, but there it was, and it got me very excited. As soon as I accepted a nomination, I realized I didn't know what the next steps would be. How would I get elected? How would I get people to vote for me? Where would my big ideas come from? My strategy and my vision? And who would get me out there to the people? I realized quickly I needed a campaign manager, which I didn't have, so I had to find one. And then I woke up. And as you can see, I am not anybody's state senator. I am your interim minister. However, we have before us a very daunting task, some big things that we have to do to get done during my time here. And for that, you can consider me your campaign manager, not to be confused with a search committee or search committee chairperson. In this role, I'll be doing just what I said, helping you develop some big ideas to examine who we are together as a community, create some strategy, looking at the governance, and taking a look at our mission and seeing who is this community and who does it want to be in the years to come. So I want to invite you to hold on to your seats, because this time will go by like a lightning bolt. Before you know it, we'll be out of here. Deuces. I want to reintroduce myself. Carol gave a rousing bio that I presented to her, but I imagine that it doesn't quite get at some of the things that you may be wanting to know about me. So I'm going to take a stab at giving you a little bit more kind of informal information about me and my wife. And I want to say that we were in an establishment, Red Dive Bar, a few weeks ago down in Corpus Christi. And we were sitting around talking to some people and just kind of enjoying each other, and they told us why they were there and who they were, and we repeated and did the same thing. But there was one person that stood out, and he gave this really nice introduction of himself that left no questions about who he was, and we had a sense, at least I had a sense, that I really knew him. And afterward, I told Tamara, I said, that was a really nice introduction that that gentleman gave us. So I'm going to try it out this morning and see if it works with you. Well, first things first, people often ask, what do we call you? And I'll say that I was born Frank Lloyd Chester. That was my birth name. I was named after two of my father's brothers. But when I turned 40, I decided that I wanted to have an African name. So I chose Xolani Kacela. Xolani is South African, and it means one who forgives, or please forgive. Kacela is from Zambia, and it means the hunter. But you can call me Dr. XK. And my pronouns are he, him, and XK. I'm 62 and will be 63 in about a month, September 21st. So don't forget my birthday. There was a time when you had your name that was given by your parents, and you assumed that name until you married, or perhaps if you were adopted, you got a new name until you died. But that time has passed. We're in a new era now where people can claim their name, they claim their pronouns, and we respect that. They claim other identities, including their sexual orientation, gender identity. Some people want us to know their mental health profile, or what about that makes them who they are, so that you can treat them more respectfully. So that's why I want to just give you my name. I prefer not to be called Rev. To me, that's like calling your doctor Doc. Most of us don't call our doctors Doc. And to me, it's a name that is more fitting for a UU minister who has a Ph.D. and someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously. So, just that part for you to know. My wife and I, Tamara and I were married 11 years ago. We got married in Dallas. That's where I was doing my first UU ministry. And Tamara and I met online. People often ask us, how did we meet? We met on a website called Plenty of Fish. Plenty of fish in the sea, as you know. So that was before there was swiping, left and right. We're kind of in the early stages of online dating, and we really made it happen. That's right. We have a daughter, really my stepdaughter. Her name is Brittany. She lives in Hillsboro, Oregon, which is just south of Portland, with her partner, Tudor. And they are both millennials. And we see them not quite enough by my wife's standards. And we have no grandchildren, and none seem to be on the horizon. I was lucky. I was born to a couple. My parents were kind of one that exemplified spiritual diversity. My mother was a devout Christian. She raised me and my sister in the AME Church, was the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And my father was a devout atheist. I don't know how they got along. Sometimes they didn't, and that's why they divorced. And like them, Tamara and I have both been divorced before. She was divorced once, I was divorced twice. And we know a thing about separating, so if you have any concerns or you're thinking about it, you want to get some pre-advice, see either one of us. We'll tell you about the grief of divorce. I really believe in keeping it real, or as we say in the modern contemporary culture, keeping it 100. So I try to live with integrity, honestly, and align with UU values and principles. And my wife can tell you, she tells me sometimes I take it too far. But I feel that is what I am called to embody. And I think that you will hold me accountable. At least I want to be held accountable. I'm going to do one thing here that I hadn't done before, and that is every work day, I will be trying to dial up one San Antonio UU to have a one-on-one conversation. So you can expect to hear from me. I'm going to use the directory that Kathy gave me, and perhaps there are some names missing there. I'll try to get a full roster of all the UUs in this community. So if you see a 919 number on your phone, answer. Don't send it to voicemail, all right? Don't send it to voicemail. Don't click quiet. Just pick up the phone because I'm going to keep calling. Just want you to know that. So you can actually put your my number in your phone now. Let me just give it to you. If you got your phone, so you'll know what it is. Because a lot of these, the auto dialers come from the 919 area code from North Carolina. We used to live in North Carolina, so that's why I still have that number. But it's 919-949-2002. So just put it in there, Dr. XK, 919-949-2002. Someone's already dialing. Now, according to Malcolm Gladwell, who many people know from the book, The Tipping Point, human beings have a storytelling problem. We're a bit too quick to come up with explanations for things that we don't really have an explanation for. And we are uncomfortable with things that are left unexplained. We need to tell ourselves little stories about the world so that it makes sense. And to that end, we tell our stories about this community. What if, instead of telling ourselves stories, we followed our dreams? Each of us has a dream for how this faith shows up in the world. Some of us would like to see more social justice. Others would like to see a deeper expression of spirituality. Others wish for our church to grow. So the message of Unitarian Universalism will spread more broadly, or as Dr. King said, that it rings in every hillside and molehill. Now is the time for this community to hunker down and to decide for itself how it wants to be known in San Antonio and beyond. What are some of the good things that you want to see continue? And what are the things that you want changed? What are you wishing that we wouldn't do any longer? And who's not in the room that you would like to see sitting in this space? What are you willing to do to get them here? Today does begin, as Carol said, the interim period. I'll be your interim minister for up to 2 years, and that means that I have arrived pre-fired. You don't have to worry about me leaving, resigning, or finding reasons to fire me, because before you know it, I will be out of here. So over the next year or two, we'll be collaborating on what Stephen Covey calls the big rocks. The big rocks include the congregation's mission and vision, includes looking at the governance structure, and putting into place what I call infrastructure, things that will help the church run more efficiently and more effectively and stay on mission. And we'll take some time to grieve the departure of Reverend Mark Scrobbins and the Reverend Nell Newton. But what is a dream? The Greek cognate is philo, which means wanting what is best or optimal, because someone is ready and willing to act. The dictionary says a dream is a strong desire for hope for something that is not easily attainable, to want something that cannot or probably will not happen. So let's break that down a bit. A strong desire means that you have a longing for something, a craving, or something that won't easily go away. It is deep inside the DNA of the institution and clings to the foundations of the community. We all know what it feels like to have a strong desire. We often call such desires passions, and we're passionate about many things. Passionate about food, drinks, gardening, child rearing, being with friends, our professions, getting promoted, worried about the budget, keeping our budget online, and of course, our family and our friends. The second part of dreams is they're not easily attainable. That means a dream demands work. In other words, the 3 Ds, deep thinking, due diligence, and determination. Deep thinking is about putting in the time, discerning the future, and making critical decisions on how to move forward. Due diligence is about investigating the pros and cons of our decisions and considering what we call the second and third order consequences of our proposed actions. Then you must be determined. That's about sticking to our commitments and our covenants. If you put the 3 Ds into action, you will and we can make this dream come true. What do you dream about for your life? You probably don't have to think very hard about what you're dreaming of. Dreams live deep within us and become entrenched until we do something about them. Perhaps you want to start a new job or a new career. The typical American changes jobs 12 times during their lifetime. Perhaps you want to start a new relationship. It takes 2 to 3 serious relationships before people get married. It takes 12 months to recover from heartbreak. And it takes 200 hours to make a new close friendship. Maybe you want to end a relationship that hasn't gone well. Or maybe you've been procrastinating on a project for years. Or you're thinking about writing your memoirs. What do you wish for this community? Well, I have a story that I want to end on. It's from the TV series, The Bear. Has anybody watched The Bear? I see Kathy's hands up. I see a few hands. The Bear is one of my favorite shows, and it's about this restaurant in Chicago. And we know Chicago is a big place. We'll be watching Chicago tomorrow and all week for the DNC rather. Well, in this TV series on Hulu, the show is about this fast-paced, chaotic restaurant that they're opening, and it's being opened by this 2 Michelin star chef named Carmen. And in this scene, Carmen is thinking back to his time when he first became a chef. And he's approached by the head chef of the restaurant who's giving him some kind of words of wisdom. And he says to Carmen, he says, I was hired by a French chef. And he called me in one day and asked me, do you know why cooks cook? And at the time, he was a staff cook. Thinking of an answer, he said, cooks cook to nurture people. Never forget that we are here today because of the people who came before us. Now, this is your first day. You will make a legacy while you're here and before you leave this place. This is our first day together. And remember this, always remember, come in every single day and try to do just a little better than the day before. Just a little bit, a modicum of effort. And that will compound over the years. So when you leave this place, you'll have an education, training, skills, and the path forward. And nurturing yourself. You'll be nurturing the team that you're cooking for. And you'll be nurturing our guest. And you'll be nurturing even our farmers, our fishermen, our foragers, our gardeners, and all the people who bring us these wonderful ingredients. Remember, it's always about the nurturing. Well, here at First Unitarian Universalist of San Antonio, it's also about the nurturing, and it's about the dreams. And I want to invite each and every one of us to remember that we come here for nurturing of the brains, nurturing of the mind, the heart, the spirit, the body. And we nurture each other as we interact and fellowship with each other. We're nurturing the children. We're nurturing the youth, the young families, the parents, the educators, those who are grieving, those who are lonely, those who are looking for community. So today, I want to invite you to remember your dreams. Dreams for yourself, dreams for each other, and dreams for this community. And pay attention. Every time you come in, do one thing better than the last time you came into this space, and this will become the place that we dream of. We came here from San Jose. I woke up this morning. I was not a U.S. Senator. I was a UU minister. I'm very excited to be here along with my bride, and we are ready to get to it. Thank you, and amen.
All right, a little special instruction for our closing song today, number 1024 in your teal hymnal. And when the Spirit says do, so we are replacing the word do as we go through the verses with the words at the bottom. So please see the note at the bottom of the page. Replace do with other words: sing, dance, laugh. We're celebrating today, right? So let's celebrate as we're singing this and dancing this and doing. Let the Spirit move you. 3 verses, please. If you feel like it.
The time comes now for us to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not its meaning and mission in our hearts. Our time together has come to an end. Go in peace, be of service to one another, and may you move through the world and love for all your days. Amen, and may it be so.